and welcome to Outlook Video, your nationally recognized, award-winning LGBTQ+ TV monthly news magazine. I'm Roberta Gonzalez-Gregg. Outlook Video in pre-pandemic COVID-19 times was broadcast to you via the Create TV studios in San Jose. Though we are now still dealing with this pandemic, we are continuing to safely bring you our broadcasts via Zoom. We sincerely hope you, your family, friends, and loved ones are all staying safe and well.
I formed this band, JAZZphoria, because I wanted to see if I could get that power of the 3 different horn sections from the big band and reduce it down to an octet.
Thank you for joining us at Outlook Video, as we are happy to welcome musician, composer, and band leader Jean Fineberg to Outlook Video. Thank you, Jean, for taking the time from your busy musical schedule to join us to bring us news of your new album release called
Jean Fineberg and JAZZphoria.
Yes, indeed, JAZZphoria. Thank you. Thank you. I didn't want to trip over that word. Thank you very much. So JAZZphoria already tells us a little bit of the genre of the music that you play. However, as a composer, you write some of your own music, fabulous. And reading a little bit about your bio, you do a variety of music from swing, blues, folk, a little bit of funk. Yeah, hip hop, R&B, you do all these different genres. How does this affect your playing and with your band?
Well, it's because I've played in all those kinds of bands my whole life. We don't do folk actually, but we do lots of funk.
Okay.
Yes. So I studied jazz at Indiana University. After I graduated from Penn State, I studied jazz at Indiana University with David Baker, who was one of the first professors to actually teach jazz at the university level. So that was my jazz background. And when I was in New York, I'm from New York, which you might be able to detect from my accent. When I was in New York, I played a lot of jazz, but my heart has always been with funk and blues and rhythm and blues. And also when I was in New York, I played in a lot of Latin bands, Afro-Cuban and Puerto Rican bands and salsa bands, and then out here in cumbia bands and Mexican bands. So when I conceive of, I wrote all the tunes except one on the album. And when I think of, I don't know, I listen to a salsa tune and I go, oh my God, I have to write something like this. And then I listen to a funk tune and I go, oh my God, this has to be my next one. So I'm interested and love all those types of music. So that's what I write. So even the reason that the band is called JAZZphoria is that, to me, the definition of jazz is that it must include improvisation.
Excellent. And I'm glad that you pointed that out, because many people aren't familiar with just what makes up jazz. And thank you for pointing that out. Plus all that mixture of these other types of music that you involve in your music and in your compositions. Listening to you recently play at the San Francisco Music Day was fabulous. It was fabulous to hear all those musicians, but your band especially stood out as an octet, but also mostly women, with one man on band playing the drums. Did you purposely go out to choose? Did you want it to be an all-women's band, or how did that come about?
No, I didn't especially want it to be an all-women's band. I have another all-women's band. It's called the Party Monsters, and that's a cover band. So that one is specifically all women, and we play dances and fun, type things. No, I didn't particularly want it to be all women, but I thought of all the musicians I've played with over the years. And for each instrument, I wanted the best player I could think of who could cover all those genres. And if there were 2 equal players, a man and a woman, I chose the woman. Because these women players, these excellent women players, are so underserved. They're not in the public eye as much as the men. So I wanted to afford them that, but I never sacrificed the music or the playability for the gender. But there were so many great women players that it was a no contest. I originally invited a wonderful woman drummer, Daria Johnson, to be in the band, but she was too busy with other things. So I chose another wonderful drummer who happened to be a man.
It's great. And listening to your band, you can tell that, and what is nice in your music is that, at least on the live presentations, is that you get to highlight their qualities and their musicianship, which is excellent. Each of them get get to play a little bit of solos on your music.
A lot of solos.
Yeah, and it is so nice to hear that, and to hear that diversity of the different instruments and the musicians. It's then you can tell, wow, these girls knocked my socks off.
Well, that was a big consideration. Not only does everybody have to be able to read music, because I write all the charts, we only rehearse before each gig, so people have to practice them. We don't rehearse regularly. We can't, because everybody's a professional and they're so busy, and I would have to pay them to rehearse, which I do, but that's why we only rehearse once before every gig. But everybody had to be able to read the charts, and they had to be a great soloist. Those were and they also had to be a lovely person, a lovely cooperative person whose entire energy while they're playing with the band is with this band. So I was able to find that. I'm
glad you said the energy, because that you can see that from the stage. You can see that as an audience. You can see that good energy, and like they're not only just showing their talents, but they're having a great time doing it. And that reflects with the audience. So that's very nice. Thank you. So tell us about this new album coming out. It's been released already, yes?
Yes, it's already out. Came out in April.
Oh, terrific. Tell us a little bit about that, how that came together. Was it years of collaborating, or what? Tell us all about.
No, it was all me. I have been serving as artist and composer in residence at art centers around the country for the last few years. I would go there for a residency, and they would give me a place to live and fly me there and pay me, which is very nice because I can't do gigs. And then usually I would do 1 or 2 gigs there, or I would give a workshop. And the rest of the time I'm left alone to do my work. And that's where I wrote all this music. I'm the assistant director of the Montclair Women's Big Band here in the Bay Area. So, and the first few residencies, I wrote big band charts for that band. But then when I put this band together, I used all those residencies to write the material for this album. And I had the album in mind, and I had the genres in mind, and I wrote all that. And then when we got together to play the music, my good longtime colleague, Nancy Wenstrom, who plays guitar, showed me a tune that she had, and I loved it so much. So I said, oh, okay, let's put this on the album. So we put that on there too. And yeah, what I'd love to do is it's easy for me to write a tune. I have like 100 tunes in my head. I just have to decide which one to write next. It's easy to write it, but the hard part is arranging it for the band, specifically arranging it for the 4 horns, deciding what position they're going to play in this particular tune, and who's going to play lead and who's going to solo. That's the difficult part. That's the part that takes time for me.
Yeah, I would imagine so, to coordinate that. And I mean, like I said, I play a mean stereo, but and the kazoo. I do like to play the kazoo.
That's like a voice. That's a voice.
It's fun. That's fun. I mean, I played the Happy Birthday, and a friend of mine told me, "Oh, you're getting pretty good. I recognize the tune." Yeah. So.
Yes, that is good.
But anyway, so I think trying to coordinate and get that music all together, that must be quite a challenge. Yeah.
Well, since we only rehearse once for every gig, I write out the drum part. I don't write out the drum part. I'm a drummer also, so I know how to write drum parts. But the drummer has a lot of leeway, except for specific hits that I want him to play, and I'll write that out. Sometimes I'll write out the bass line specifically. Sometimes I'll just suggest it. Same thing with the keyboard and the guitar. So that's the rhythm section. Their parts are to a certain extent written out in that I give ideas what I want them to do, and then there's certain hits the whole band does together that I have on the charts. But the horns have to be, completely written out, except for the solos, of course. So since everything is written and since they get the charts ahead of time.
Wow, you are indeed multi-talented. I didn't know you played the drums as well. I knew you on the sax and the flute, but not the drums as well. Wow, multi-talented. That's a true musician, really. And as I was saying earlier before we were taping, that music is something that is a universal language, and it really it speaks to all of us. It's a language we can all understand. So that's really great to promote that. So thank you. And with the Montclair Women's Band, do you still play with them?
Oh, yes. Well, the Montclair Women's Big Band is directed by Ellen Sealing, trumpet player. And the big band has never sought gigs. The gigs just seem to come to us. And we haven't had a gig in a while. And Ellen is in semi-retirement. But the next time a gig comes to us, we will certainly play it. We will do one rehearsal. We'll get everybody together. It's 18 pieces. We have a male drummer in that band. Actually, we have 2 men in that band, in the Montclair Women's Big Band. And people always ask, if it's the Montclair Women's Big Band, why do you have men in it? In fact, we did this one concert where I was doing like a Q&A, and someone actually raised their hand and was upset that we had a couple of men in the band and said, this is supposed to be the Montclair Women's Big Band. So I told him that, yes, it's because it's run by women. It's our band. Anyway, yes, that band will play anytime someone asks us to. It's harder to get gigs because we're 18 pieces and everybody has to be paid. So financially, it's harder, but the band is still together. We have 1 album out, and our 2nd album is in the can. It's ready to go. It has my charts on it, but we'll be working on that.
We'll be looking forward to hearing that as well as this new one coming out. You said it came out in April, correct?
Mm-hmm. April 8th. It was released April 8th. I don't really know what that means. Released, like, it was born or something. We did an album release concert on April 15th at the California.
Yes. Please tell our viewers where they can see trailers of this and get a little inkling of what your music is all about.
My website, JeanFineberg.com, spelled JeanFineberg.com. If you go there on the homepage, you can, right on the homepage is a promotional video of the band. And then if you go to the music page, you can hear the different tunes. So yeah, the video is there. It's on YouTube. And
great, that's terrific, because it'll give all of us, especially us jazz fans, a little inkling of what it's all about, and then go out and purchase one of your new albums. So we're looking forward to that. Well, this has been fantastic, and go back in your history. You've also saying that you've played, funk and stuff. You've played with some pretty biggies with like David Bowie, Sister Sledge, the Brecker Brothers.
I did one studio recording with the Brecker Brothers because Mike Brecker was a friend of mine.
Okay. Well, you've certainly got some good stuff under your belt, and some what I would like to say, you got some great licks, girl. You got good. You got some good chops.
I'm going to put that on my website. Roberta Gonzalez says.
Great licks, good chops.
Thank you.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. We'll look forward, and people can also make purchases of that album through your website.
The best place to buy the album is Bandcamp. That's one word, Bandcamp.
Bandcamp.
Gotta
write that down.
And there is the cheapest price, and people have an option to put extra money in if they want.
Oh,
but
nice.
I think it's a site that a lot of musicians are using these days because they pay the artists more than a lot of other sites. I mean, you can probably get it on Amazon and a whole bunch, CD Baby and a whole bunch of other places. Mm-hmm. But I'd recommend getting it on Bandcamp. Just put my name in on Bandcamp and it should show up.
Oh, that's terrific. Plus, it gives people a chance to throw in a little bit more towards your cause. Thank you. Terrific. Yay. Well, we want to promote the arts, and especially women in the arts, but people in the arts who do such wonderful work as yours by bringing smiles on our faces with music that we can jump around to in our seats, or maybe get up and wiggle a little bit too. It's been fun. Yeah, there you go. It's been terrific. Thank you so much, and all the best in your continued efforts, and continue playing. You play around in the Bay Area, do you?
Let me
Mostly?
see. When is our next gig? I think it's the Solano County Fair. We'll be there. We'll be at Sassoon, excuse me, Sassoon Jazz by the waterfront. And I can't remember right now what other. We're going to be recording again in July. But those two things are coming up.
Oh, terrific. Well, we look forward to seeing you in and around the Bay Area, and catching up with that new album. That's so terrific. Thank you so very much. And Jean, thank you so much for joining Outlook Video and sharing with us today.
Thank you so much, Roberta. It's lovely to see your smiling face. And I really appreciate this. And I love talking to you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Every single solo is an exploration, a musical journey for that particular musician. That, to me, is the thrill of a live performance. We have to engage the audience. It has to be a performance, and we have to plan our material so that the audience is right there with us at all times. We have a lot of fun on stage. I can see people in the audience dancing in their seats. We feel their energy, and we're throwing it right back at them.
We love to get mail from you. Email us at comments@outlookvideo.org.
To contact us by phone, call 408-293-3040, extension 205.
Visit our website at outlookvideo.org.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/outlookvideo.
And connect with us at facebook.com/outlookvideo.
So this is our first International Transgender Day of Visibility Global Sound. We'll be loud because we are trans and we are proud.
Transgender Day of Visibility, today and every day. is an opportunity for us to stand together and support and celebrate and honor our transgender, gender nonconforming community, to celebrate, honor the resilience, the fierceness.
We are incredibly grateful to be here, to have some of our youth here. For our young people, it's incredibly important to be here in community, especially with our elders, to celebrate our history.
We are so happy to be here celebrating our day. I know that it's not just one day. It has to be 365 and 24 hours a day.
The world is not generally the safest place for us to be visible, and so I just want to use this time to kind of remind ourselves and each other how important it is that we are here.
For some performances.
Are you ready for the show? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Escándalo, es un escándalo. Escándalo, es un escándalo.
This is what we've been waiting for 2 years! Bye-bye isolation! Welcome community! I lift my hands and worship. Lord, I adore you. I was here. I lived, I loved, I was here. You're my all, part of me.
How are we all doing? Can I have a round of applause for all of our performers? Oh my God. Can you please stand all the performers? Please come to the middle. We got really uplift here. We got feel. Please come out here. And we're missing Stephanie, but she's here in spirit. Give it up. Yes, it's that. Right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. We very much exist. And I just want to uplift each one of you. It's just like a dream that each one of us wanted to be back here with each other. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anjali, Rimi, pronouns she, her, they, them. I'm really excited, grateful to be here tonight with Parivar Bay Area at Sewa Center to talk about Pehchan, our identity, who we are. This is to commemorate the Transgender Visibility, which was celebrated on March 31st, but with an intersectional understanding of what it means to be South Asian. Tonight, we will hear from those of us who are living on these intersections and hear about our stories, our resilience, our courage, and have some fun. So,
as an openly proud bisexual, I was actually the first bisexual state legislator ever. But you know, I love the part that being part of the LGBTQ community, we always live intersectional lives, right? We always come from different faith, different race, different every background, and this intersects with the LGBT community, and that's where we can hash our differences and figure out how to truly have intersectional and true liberation for all folks. And that's what we're really proud to be fighting for in the state assembly. Actually, recently we just passed, I think the first time in a long time, our official resolution to commemorate Trans Day visibility, to recognize all the trans, non-gender, conforming, and intersex folks in the entire state. But you know, right now, as you're probably going to talk about, you know, trans folks have the rights under siege across this country. But California, luckily, we have removed the overt instances of attacks, but now we have the more submerged versions, right? Luckily, at least that is what we're working on in California. Across the nation, we have to deal with some more ridiculous attacks, and really California stands incredibly as the refuge for folks who want to live here. So with that, also want to recognize part of our Bay Area your incredible work for the accommodation, especially from the California State Assembly. Thank you.
When I was growing up, I was so close to my parents and I was so close to my culture and I loved, Bollywood movies and I loved singing and dancing and everything. And, but then as I got older and started to form my own identity with, my friends at school, my life outside of my family, there became kind of a disconnect, right? I was kind of one person at school and one person at home. And then as I started to kind of discover my queer identity in high school, adolescent years, I could kind of, I found myself wanting to distance myself from my South Asian identity because so much of what I had seen from that culture was very, conservative, very Puritan, And then it wasn't until actually years later, when I continued my transition and tried to kind of learn and reconnect, I used to always kind of think of my struggle as like a personal one and not a systemic one because, I wanted to start transitioning. I wanted to start hormone therapy, but, and I could go to the doctor. I could go with my health insurance and get a prescription. That wasn't the thing that was stopping me, right? It was my family saying they would be disappointed in me. That was what was stopping me. So I always thought it was personal and not systemic. But then when I kind of learned more about where does that come from? Where does that kind of conservative Puritan idea, where did that originate from? And when I learned that those ideals actually came from colonization and from kind of, Christian Puritan culture that was forced upon people in India, people in many countries, many cultures across the globe, that really opened my eyes in like a whole new way when I learned like, oh, this isn't personal. This is very much systemic. It comes from this place that's way outside of my control, outside of my family's control. And actually now in embracing my South Asian identity, I'm also embracing my queer identity. And I never thought that those two things together was possible. So it's been a very tumultuous journey, but now I'm finally in this place where I can kind of embrace both at the same time. And like if I get challenged, by South Asian people who maybe are more conservative, I can challenge them back. Where does that thinking come from? Does it come from us or does it come from somewhere else?
We're at the top of Twin Peaks, colliding with another thing today called Kashi, and it's cold. It's freezing. It's a nice evening in San Francisco, but it's very cold.